Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Howard Berger from Realcomm, and I'm here with Thomas Yehs from NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research Development Agency?
Authority.
Authority. Thank you. So, Thomas, really good to have you here. You
Thank
came
you.
out, yeah, I mean, all the way from New York to be here with us today. Hopefully you didn't get waylaid on an American flight.
Yeah, it's so hard to get me away from the New York weather right now and enjoy this nice sunny weather in Scottsdale.
Tough duty.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know.
Exactly.
Thanks for making the sacrifice.
Thank you.
So
Somebody has to do it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, yourself, what you're doing at NYSERDA, and then we'll kind of go in and talk a little bit about the programs after that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thomas Yehs, and I'm an engineer by training. I used to work in utility side of the business, and then over time I got out to the on the distribution, and then on the low side, on the building side, started a few companies, sold a few companies, and then began to work with NYSERDA back in 2015. Which is the genesis
That's
of
when they
this
started,
program.
right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. On the real-time energy management program.
Okay, which they call RTEM, right?
Yeah, we call it
that's the
RTEM,
acronym?
with government-like acronyms.
Yeah, EMIS, RTEM.
Yeah, smart buildings,
Yeah. So you were there at the very beginning, okay?
For RTEM, absolutely.
For RTEM, okay. So we probably should talk a little bit about RTEM, real-time energy management. So why did they specifically decide to incentivize energy management systems, in RTEM? And this is back in 2015, 2016, right?
Exactly. The program launched in June of 2016, right. And really it's the first of its kind in the country. NYSERDA did a market analysis back in 2014 and 2015. And really found a market opportunity, a underserved area. Buildings back then really did not have a good data infrastructure. For that matter, any infrastructure. All the data around the building is set within the four wall of the building, within the silos, on somebody's desktop, that kind of things. And second, building owners were not really leveraging analytics. That was just the beginning of the analytics. There's energy management systems, but other than visualization and a few things, they really weren't taking advantage of the advanced analytics to operate the building more efficiently, more predictably, making the tenants more comfortable, that kind of thing. So we looked around, we saw EMIS, but EMIS really didn't quite capture everything we want to do with the system part of it. So we coined the term RTEM and launched the program in 2016.
So how did that program launch go, and how did you present it to the owners, and how did they react to that? How did they take it?
You wouldn't be surprised that it launched a bit slowly. We spent about a year building a qualified solution providers base. Because one of the things that we found with the building owners is, they were getting hit by a lot of vendors, promising all sorts of stuff. And again, this is back in 2015, 2016. They weren't sure that they can really do what they claim to do.
Right.
So
big claims.
They don't want to invest anything. So the type of technology weren't really getting traction. So we qualified, we spent the time, we developed a criteria, we qualified a vendor that can really do what they claim to do. And that really helped trigger the growth of the market. 2018 really picked up a bit. 2019 was a busy year. Even last year, even the COVID year, we didn't expect it. Obviously. But it's funny to say this, but we sold out in 2020.
So how did how did NYSERDA incentivize owners to get on the program? They must have had to. You must have needed some kind of carrot to get
Yeah,
get
that
folks
was
to give you all
a
that data. Yeah.
that was a key differentiator. I mean, the building owners are very familiar with the typical utility programs, prescriptive rebates for lighting or custom projects that they get savings once they can they get a check once they can demonstrate savings. What we try to do is we offered a shared risk model. NYSERDA, in our analysis of the technology, we really believe it is an enabling technology. In other words, the basis for which that a lot of future work can be built upon. So it's a shared risk. So what we did is we offer incentives. Really, it was 30%, so it's pretty substantial.
30%
of the all-in costs: software, hardware, installation, design, everything.
So 30% discount on getting
30% discount.
an RTEM program.
And RTEM, yeah. So really pay down the risk, and we paid at the time when the system is commissioned, not when it demonstrates savings. So that's the sheer risk part. The second part that we did that were different is we also required consulting services to go along with the technology. So it's not just gather the data, launch some dashboards, fire up a few notifications, while the building operators are busy already with what they have to do.
Right.
So we actually also incentivize consultants to look at the data, to also look at the data, to also analyze the data, to verify the analytics output, and make recommendations in human form with the building owner and operators. And we will incentivize that for up to 5 years.
So you were kind of mandating that it can.
Yes, we did.
Did I get this right? So you had you vetted and certified a group of either integrators or
OEMs.
That would commission as part of the program would commission RTEM, and am I correct that they would monitor?
First of
Monitor
all,
and retro commission?
Yeah, they have to solve all the problem getting the data. that is not
right,
easy
not
back
easy.
then. So everything from meters to sensors to
Would
gateways.
would they need to install
They did.
a lot of meters?
Sometimes they have to, and we had solution provider that specialized in meters.
Right.
So,
Were you guys with your? I'm just a quick
Yeah,
question. I mean, with your buying power, were you able to lower the cost of the meters?
Well, what we noticed is that with the incentive, that was the sort of the secret sauce. We brought down quite a bit of risk, and so really solve all the data acquisition problems. Turned out integrating with control systems or automation systems was BACnet, MSTP, BACnet, IP, and or just IOs. So we had projects that were just individual
Straight
IOs.
Yeah.
So basically take all that out of the building owner's hand. So the solution provider have to handle all that.
So there's no lift for the building owner.
Well, they have to provide access. They have to
Connectivity.
Connectivity. But we even have vendor that would do that for them. In fact, we actually added a cybersecurity requirement.
I was just going to ask about that. Yeah.
And just to make the building owner more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that includes a whole new network that we will also include as part of our incentivize project. So yeah, it's soup to nuts.
So you guys would have a secured gateway, and that that data would go to your cloud?
No, that's the other part. NYSERDA really is, we're no business doing capturing customers' data. So what we really did is we've also required that the data cannot sit just on the server, but it has to be in the cloud, because what we're trying to do was to build a data infrastructure within buildings. That's why cybersecurity was important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All the solution providers that's in our program have to demonstrate cybersecurity expertise. and demonstrate that their system is hosted in one of the well-known, you know all the names of cloud services. So there is no problem with all the usual IT stuff, backup, availability, business continuation.
Continuity. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So there were a set of requirements
There
that
were.
were all designed to really benefit the owner and make it much easier for them.
Yeah, we
to integrate.
we had building owner that took our requirements and embedded into their RFPs.
Okay.
And so when they
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
when they said, again, this was back early days when none of this, all the stuff that this great conference that you guys cover now weren't really as prevalent back then. So we tried to do some of the heavy lift. So really, the building owners just have to benefit from the data, benefit from the analytics. So
I mean, what were some of the reasons? I mean, did the building owners come to you? Did you guys go to the building owners? What were some of the reasons that a building owner would cite other than I want to understand my energy usage, or I think my energy usage is going up?
All kinds. We had building owners who were, and you know them also, they were more progressive, they were more technology oriented. They say, hey, we need single pane glass, we need to manage our portfolio rather than a building at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do monthly, 3-month energy management by utility bills. We need real time. We need better data to guide our capital investment decision. We have others that say, hey, we have an energy management system and we're good. So it really spans the gamut. But we did talk to all of them, which is really influenced the way we designed the program.
I mean, but to me, for you guys to be able to offer and say, hey, building owner, I've got a team. We're going to give you at a really incredibly low cost the ability to start reliably pulling data from your building,
Right.
and that data will be available to you along with analytics, this and that, and the other thing, at a price that's more competitive than
Exactly.
and with a installer vendor commissioning and
Exactly.
community
Right.
that has been vetted.
Yep.
That would seem to be a pretty good deal.
And it turned out that after everybody asked, so what's the catch? It took a while, and at the end of the 5 year of the program, we just launched a 2.0 version, but at the end of the 1.0 version, we incentivized about $70 million, generated about $210 million with a private investment, impacted over 300 million square feet of building spaces, and cover 1,100 plus properties all throughout New York State, but a lot of it, most of the square footage is in New York City.
So, big question: what kind of savings do you think the owners have
Yeah.
observed?
Yeah,
from the program?
one of the best part about this job is I get to see essentially all the data, all the reports, figure out what's good and what's bad and all that sort of stuff. So it really depending on which sector. So K-12 is very different than commercial office buildings, very different than multifamily. But for typical commercial office buildings in New York, we see 30+% savings to low single digits.
Mhm.
But I would say as a portfolio, meaning
Across
overall,
all.
probably depending on which fuel you're talking about, 7 to 10% per year. And even then, I know people keep throwing around really huge figures. Even then, for these big tall buildings, payback
Mm-hmm.
can be as short as just a few months.
So, let's talk a little bit about some of the insights that you guys have derived from that. So, what were some of the faults, problems that
Mm-hmm.
you discovered, and some of the conservation measures. And maybe should we talk about that by asset class? Maybe just start with office.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So FDDs and ASOs are the big acronyms, but what we notice is everything from low-hanging fruit,
yeah.
not surprising.
Simultaneous hot cold. And
Simultaneous on code.
Yeah.
A lot of it is things like broken sensors, broken valves, broken actuators, and they never found. We have
that would
one,
never have been discovered. Yeah. of
never
course.
have been. We have one site. I use this as an example. The customer found over 300 leaky valves, not broken valves, leaky valves.
Mm-hmm.
He would have never found that
Yeah.
because the building was compensating for it. That payback of that project was incredible.
That could have been huge. That
Yeah,
must have been huge.
so all the way up to round set point, you're not doing reset, or you're doing reset inadequately to schedules. You know, your operating equipment outside of schedule, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now what we notice is people are really looking at optimization. You know, they fixed all the low-hanging fruit problems. They're trying to work on optimization.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let's. How is RTEM different than traditional commissioning, strategic energy management programs like monitor-based commissioning?
Yeah, we
continuous
we really benchmark against those programs because NYSERDA had ran those programs before, and so we have a lot of kind of
right. They invested pretty heavily.
in that program. But here's part of the thing. Those are almost always one-time programs. In other words, retro commissioning one time.
One time.
Audits
Yeah, it's not-
one time.
yeah.
No follow-up. One thing we noticed, and if you do retro commissioning, you will know this. Nobody do everything, right? You identify 100 measures. People are going to pick and choose, pick the low-hanging fruit and that kind of stuff. What we notice is, off the first set, there's about a 30% measure adoption rate. In other words, the customers will do 30% of the measures. But the other 2/3 doesn't just go away.
Right.
Keep bringing it up next year, next month. Keep bringing it up. And that's the key differentiator. It's if you want to call it continuous commissioning, I like to think of it as continuous optimization.
Yeah, I think now once you have the data, you have the ability to do that.
And that took a while. Building operators are used to these one-time things, right? Do an audit, do a retro commissioning, fix that. 3 years later, do another one.
Right.
What we're trying to do is, pick all the low-hanging fruits, do the medium cost ones, better plan your capital planning cycles and all the other stuff. Do a continuously optimization. In other words, make energy management excellence as part of your normal management
everyday
workflow.
program. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if it's kosher to ask this question, so tell me if it's not.
Sure.
Is it okay? Can you name some of the technology providers that you've recruited?
They're all public. It's
Okay,
in fact, they go from the.
I got my wrist slapped for asking that
No, I
question.
know, but
yesterday.
we used to listen on our website when the program was live. You see everybody from the multinational, everybody there's Siemens, the Honeywells, the Trains, Automated Logic, Johnson Controls, Distac, Delta Control, and I'm probably forgetting a few. So somebody's going to get mad at me to startups and everybody in between. So really, what we noticed was that it was a very competitive market, not quite mature just because of the supplier fragmentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we really hope is our program really help drive the market adoption, accelerate market maturity. So this is not just new technology, this from to the late adopters, not just the early adopters. So that's what we're really trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you. So for our last minute, quick question. You guys have been collecting a ton of data, which is extremely valuable to everyone. What's your plan with all the data?
We've spent 3 years thinking about that question. what we're about to do is anonymize that. By the way, we normalize all the data across all the different vendors, and we put it in a database, and we just develop an API. What we are thinking to do is to launch a data hackathon next year.
Nice.
Anonymize all the data, so there is no confidential issues. But we're going to launch a hackathon, and I hope to get your support to get the word out, and then and offer a cash prize for those that can really demonstrate how this data can transform not just energy efficiency, but sustainability.
Maybe we get REBNY involved in that too.
REBNY definitely is part of the group that we're talking to.
Yeah. No, I'm in. I would definitely be helpful. I think, unfortunately, we're out of time, but that was a great conversation. We covered a lot of territory. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Great conversation.
Thank you again.
Thank you.